Good afternoon, travel agents, and welcome. It's good to have you with us once again for another Recommend webinar. I hope everything is good with our travel agents and you are having a very productive and profitable day. My name is Terry Murphy. I am going to be your moderator today, and we are going to be learning more about Scenic Cruises, the world's #1 luxury cruise line. River cruising is without doubt one of the fastest growing travel segments in the market today. It's a product that has been around a long time, but historically more well known among European travelers. In recent years, there has been a steadily growing interest from the US market, and the market itself has responded with many new vessels, new itineraries, plying the waters and rivers of Europe and beyond. Today we will learn about specifically Scenic Cruises and discover that they are the world's #1 5-star all-inclusive luxury river cruise line. Please keep in mind that a full recorded version of this presentation will be sent to you via email at a later date, so if you've missed any information or want to view this educational webinar once again, you can do so. Also, feel free to send in any questions to our presenter using the chat function that should be on your screen, and we will answer as many as we can and respond directly to those we don't have time to respond online. I'm now going to turn the floor over to Mark Junette, who is the Regional Sales Manager of Scenic Cruises, who will talk about Scenic Cruises' unequaled shore excursions, its impeccable, intuitive onboard service, and how it is Europe's newest and most spacious fleet. Mark?
Well, Terry, thank you so very much, and what a nice, warm introduction to live up to. And certainly, we at Scenic have had a tremendous couple of years as we introduce this brand into the U.S. market. And thank you for having us today, and your team for taking care of getting us all connected to be able to talk to this audience. And to the audience, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing some time and investing it to learn a little bit about Scenic. We're going to have some fun. We're going to get into some finer details about what this truly all-inclusive experience is all about for your clients. And Terry, if I didn't know any better, I would think that you and I probably go to the same hairstylist.
Exactly, or wish we did.
Well, what a couple of handsome-looking devils. So obviously you're out there with your mate who's trying to photobomb you there, and I just came off of my own Scenic Cruise, of course, Budapest, Nuremberg, and that was my selfie that I had when we were the only ship out there that actually did a night cruise of all the sites for the Budapest lights, and had a tremendous time. So Terry, I guess if you're ready and we're ready, should we get started?
Let's go. We're looking forward to hearing about it.
All right. Well, to the audience, tray tables up, seatbelts on. Please do take some notes and certainly send over your questions, and we'll get those answered as many as we can. But why don't we go see what this Scenic Cruises thing is all about? And while you look at some pretty pictures here, I guess I should mention that Scenic Cruises is probably the most luxurious river cruise line that you've never heard of. And I'm going to step back a second because to share a quick personal story with you, my mom has sent me Reader's Digest subscriptions since I was in my teens, and just this last month, the editor Liz had talked about how rivers are an integral part of our lives, and she wrote about how when she flies over the states, she looks down and looks for rivers, how they are serpentine and they carve canyons, and there's these massive forces. But yet, when you get closer, it's much more intimate. It's almost meditative. They kind of tickle the senses. And she grew up in the Cleveland's Cuyahoga River, where there's nightclubs, and that's where she started being a rock critic. And now she lives in the Hudson River, and she was able to see the view from her apartment, and that was actually where she did her running route. But it's also where she went after 9/11 as her escape route. And talking about rivers in general, you think about how they influence our lives. Think about the rivers near you or the rivers of your childhood. And it all comes back down to that line of eventually all things merge into one and a river runs through it. So I just wanted to share that personal story and kind of that reflection of what I was reading even just this week about how rivers can influence lives and what it takes and where they've been and from transportation to the history. So that's probably a little bit by why Scenic is now out in the rivers and doing what they do. Well, Terry introduced us as certainly that all-inclusive experience, impeccable service, and frankly, that's exactly where we want to be, and we strive to do that every single day for your guests. But to tell the story about Scenic Cruises, first I have to share the story about Scenic in general and where we came from, because we actually started in 1986, so 28 years ago. Scenic started as a tour operator. Glenn Maroney, who's our owner, in Warrnambool, Australia, this little village in between Adelaide and Melbourne, had about 30,000 people there, and of course, like most tour companies, he bought a motor coach and he started taking Aussies up the east coast of Australia to all those big events like the World Expos and different sporting events. And what do you know, that expanded into going to the next country like New Zealand and then to the next continent like the U.S. and Canadian Rockies. So we started as a tour company and still are in other regions. And in the U.S., we've come to the U.S. this last year as a top-of-the-line river cruise company because about 6 or 8 years ago, we started looking at these long, funny ships that we saw over the rivers. And a lot of our passengers on the tour side were saying, we want to go on one of those. So we chartered a couple of ships, brought back clients and said, what did you like, what didn't you like, what could you have improved or included, not included. And because of river cruise ships, they're all basically the same size, no matter what they call them. For American standards, they're about 440 feet long, they're about 40 feet wide. We have to fit through locks, take turns in rivers, and we take that same footprint that everybody else is pretty much given, and we turned them into scenic spaceships. Now, Terry, this might be a quiz question later, maybe some prizes or something we might do for fun, but what does Scenic call their river cruise ships? Well, simply scenic spaceships. And you can probably think of why we call them spaceships, so maybe write that one down, but let's just say because they're spacious. Along today, you're going to find out about Scenic Free Choice, Enrich, what's a river view, what's a tailor-made. And at the same time, especially because we're talking to the U.S. audience, I want to share with you the most popular itineraries coming out of the U.S. market, what your fellow agents and peers are selling to help you be successful. And of course, with that, I don't like ever leaving any presentation to this type of audience without letting you know an action plan. You know, what are other agents doing to immediately get some scenic bookings and be successful with that? So I want to share with you a couple of things they're doing to help you kind of hit the ground running, if you will, selling more scenic cruises. All right. With that, this is usually where I would probably have you guys raise your virtual hands, if you will. You know, who's booked river cruise is what I usually ask an audience. And typically here I get a majority of travel agents and consultants and partners raising their hands. And then the interesting thing is I would say, well, who's traveled on a river cruise? And frankly, I get about maybe 15 to 30% of the audience raising their hands, which is good because that tells me that, like the travel professionals you are, you can still be passionate about what you promote and sell to your client because of the quality information and the confidence you have in the company. And that's actually my job for you today, is to build that confidence and prove to you we are truly the all-inclusive river cruise experience that your client will be blown away with. Terry mentioned how it's certainly the #1 category, been growing for years and years, and we can't help but follow along with that. And in fact, here's another key point. Currently, we have 10 river cruise ships all around Europe. We're going to come out with 2 more this next summer, so we'll be up to 12. And of course, every year we are improving, we're tweaking things based on the passenger needs and wants, and all of our ships are pretty much configured the same way. So it's not so confusing trying to figure out, you know, if this is a short ship, old ship, new ship. In fact, even though we've only been on the waters with our own spaceships really since about 2008. We're actually into the 3rd generation of spaceships based on some of the things we're doing to improve them, bring them along with new technology and furnishings. So when we say we are all-inclusive luxury, we truly mean it. In fact, I'm going to share with you a little video, and just bear with us. The technology we're using might not quite catch up to speed on the video, so they might be a little choppy, but the imagery is more important for you to see, so you can see what a scenic cruise is really about when we talk about all-inclusive luxury. So, let's go. So that is just a teaser, just a little appetizer about the scenic experience for your guests. And typically I get comments like, did I just see real balconies on your river cruise ship? Yes. Was that a butler that was serving morning breakfast in my suite? Yes. What was that e-bike? What's that e-bike all about? And so those questions and more we'll get into. But with Scenic, know that your guests arrive in the airport. Airport transfers are included. They're picked up, they're whisked off to the ship and welcomed with the team that's there. Also, for us in the industry, it's important to know that we have our own coaches that also follow us along on the cruises. So we'll have 3 or 4 of these along for the transfers. You can't miss them with those beautiful river cruise wraps. No matter what coach park they go to, they're easily to be identified with your guests. But they also take care of excursions. They're there for us as support mechanisms. And when you come on board, you are generally greeted with this sincere staff that's just waiting to serve. They do a tremendous job to take care of the guests. And of course, being a cruise ship, we're going to have a nice welcome cocktail or beverage waiting for them with friendly faces and something to just inspire them as they come into their luxury hotel that they're going to be floating along with for the next week or 2. Now, here's a shot of the Panorama Lounge. One of the things we learned from other ships and some of our own ideas is this is about 22% larger than your regular river cruise ships. We have expanded everything out to the walls as far as we can take it. Notice the floor to ceiling windows, and we put all the fixtures and all the faucets down the middle of the ship so we could have everything as much as possible to enjoy that panoramic view. So we increased that by about 22% versus other ships. And we have nice little areas where people can sit with 2s and 4s and 8s, hanging out in a relaxed fashion, seeing the beautiful scenery go by on these magnificent windows. And in this area we would have things like the library, news of the day from different countries. We have a coffee machine up there in the left corner that you see. It's a 20,000 euro coffee machine, and it's like the Jetsons. You push a button and from your cappuccinos, your Americanos, macchiatos, you name it, it's ready for you in a couple of minutes. And that's about the busiest machine on the ship. It goes 24/7 for anyone that wants it. It's available to them to use. Of course, a popular area on most ships is our panorama bar. Now, with Scenic, all alcohol is included, so not just beer and wine at lunch and dinner, but also beer, wine, and spirits, and kind of up there a little bit you can see some of the different name brands we carry. So it's all the same brands that your guests are used to using and enjoying over here in the States or wherever they may be that they're going to enjoy at the panorama bar. On our lunches and our breakfasts, these are beautiful buffets. Now, these aren't just regular buffets. Of course, being Scenic, they're first-class buffets. So, for example, at breakfast, it's going to be not just the porridges and the oatmeals, but you're going to have the omelet station for eggs any way you want, 3 different types of bacon, the healthy choices like smoothies and juicing, all the fresh regional fruits. You're going to have different regional tastes as well. So here's another note for you. On Scenic, we're basically sold to mostly Australians, and we've got a lot of Kiwis, Canadians, Americans, and South Africans, and Brits that go with us. And then it's going to be filling in from different countries. But primarily, it's those 5 countries really. Again, Australia, New Zealand, the U.S., Canada, and UK. Meaning everything on board is always English speaking. Not just on board, but also on shore. So you'll see things in our dining room like lamb for breakfast maybe, and of course Vegemite. And you might wonder what is going on. But realize because we're catering to all those different countries, we want to make sure they have a taste from home. Of course, one of my favorites in the morning is peanut butter toast. So thankfully we got peanut butter on board. But we have a nice breakfast and lunch buffets. Again, they're first class. And for lunch, it's going to have a soup station, salad station, different things available for lunch, and if your clients so choose, they can also order off the menu. So there's a nice menu they can make different choices from. Now, on Scenic, we have 5 different dining venues, so please scribble this down, 5 different dining venues plus one. One of them is Crystal Dining, and this is where we have a 4-course dinners. Many times it's going to include the regional tastes of wherever we're cruising through. And of course, we're going to always do something fun like a big seafood gala that really goes off, and people really enjoy this as far as a nice touch. So that's one, is our Crystal Dining Room. And by the way, there's only 169 passengers on board. This is not the cattle call for dinner. If they want to come in 2s and 4s and 8s and 10s, that's fine. They'll just come up to the maitre d', request the table and the space they're looking for, and they'll be well taken care of. So they can basically come to dinner as they like during the hours the dinner is available. So that's one of our venues, is Crystal Dining. Another unique venue, only to Scenic, is something called Portobello's Italian. And this is where we have this intimate Italian 5-course meal where they will come out with not just some of the different courses, but also how it's prepared, and of course the wine pairings that go with it. This is up in front of the ship with this type of view. So I've taken the models out of this shot and given a personal shot of what this actually looks like when you see these floor-to-ceiling windows and the type of environment where you're enjoying this quality, beautiful meal at Portobello's. So that's 2 different venues, and now we're up to 3 where, weather permitting, we've got these terrific grills and preparations we do on the sun deck. And of course, anytime I can get al fresco to enjoy my meal in the atmosphere and the environment, put me there. But we do these phenomenal grills. You can see the service that we put out there, and it's everything from chickens to beefs. It's vegetarian options. It's lambs, you name it. And even next year, here's a little secret, we're actually going to bring out teppanyaki to the sun deck. So that's going to be even another cool inclusion for your guests to enjoy as far as another dining venue. Well, let's see. I think we're up to 4 now. We've covered Crystal Dining. We've talked about the sun deck. We've talked about Portobello's. Well, now we're up to River Cafe. Now, River Cafe is something we unabashedly borrowed from those big ocean liners because we found that our guests get peckish pretty much any time of the day. Meaning, from about 6 in the morning to basically about 6 at night, River Cafe is open to them for little light meals, snacks, sandwiches, wraps. Of course, look at that counter with those decadent cakes and pastries. And look up top. Look at the different name brands of spirits and alcohol that they'll have. And I should mention, even though all alcohol is included all the time, there's some folks that don't drink. However, we found that there's a lot of specialty drinks that they have instead, so those little specialty coffees and teas and things of that nature are available, of course, for them, included, all-inclusive. Well, now we come to the creme de la creme, the table la rive. And this is on the diamond, this is for the diamond deck guests only. So the top deck of the ship is called the diamond deck. And this is where we have a 6-course chef's table. This fits about 10 to 12 people. And again, just the diamond deck are invited to enjoy this experience and have the different tastings, have the different pairings of the wine. And not only do we serve some phenomenal wines at dinner just ready for them, but we also have a tremendous wine cellar, separate wine list that your guests can order from as they so please. So that's 5, and then there's one more, and you guys can probably guess where this other venue is, right? So if we have 5 different dining venues plus 1, where is that plus 1 at? I can probably hear it virtually. It's in their suites, of course. So if you want to have dining in your suite, that's available to you, besides just the morning coffees and teas and things like that that's available. So I think you're probably hearing and finding out that Scenic really does their best to cater to every taste. In fact, we pretty much have every menu covered, from our lounge menu, our spa menu, we'll talk about it in a second. We have a tea menu. We cover and carry over 30 different teas on board. And again, think about who we sell to and the countries they come from, including the States where tea is getting much more popular. And we have all these available for them, not just the regular dining venues and not just the spa or the captain's table. But then again, we get better. We always improve. And a cruise director saw my slide here with all these menus. He said, you know, Mark, there's actually one menu you're forgetting. And I said, how could I forget any menu? He says, you're forgetting the pillow menu from the room. So, yes, we have a pillow menu for the room, soft, medium, firm, however you might like your pillow. And let's get over to some of those cabins and suites and see what we're talking about. So, at the Jewel deck, this is the bottom deck of the ship. Now, I've heard other river cruise companies call this frog view, but we actually prefer to call this swan view. So, at Scenic, at the swan view, this is 160 square feet, and even at this cabin level, the fineries of Egyptian cotton linens, of these slumber beds, we've done things to increase the space in these cabins by curving in the writing surface right there against the left wall, the flat screen TVs, which have all been upgraded, and they include our infotainment system. There's a 5 square foot window up there, and though you can't open it, you actually get a really cool view from that area. But let's face it, these are only about 14 of these on each ship. These are typically folks that are going to be in the cabin out to enjoy themselves either on the ship or on shore, or they're looking for that entry price. This is the type of cabin that they would want to go for. Now, they still have the same amenities as everybody else, but as we come up in decks, we, of course, increase in size. So now we get up to the sapphire and diamond decks, and you're going to notice more space between the bed and the desk, a little more space on either side, a little bit better as far as maybe some of the furnishings. But there is something out there. What's out there by that pointy thing? Well, is that a sitting area? Yeah, that's an actual real balcony. And this is where we start coming into our balcony suites. So another one to write down for your notes is 85% of all Scenic Cruise spaceships have real balconies. Now let's show you a little bit more about what that's about. These are private balconies, and they, again, are in 85% of our ships. They have a couple of chairs out there. They have a nice table so you can put your different goodies, your champagne, your wine, whatever beverage you might be enjoying. And they have the slider, and up on the right you see a little white square with a button, and at a push of a button there's a window pane that actually encloses that outdoor suite, and it encloses it into a scenic sun lounge. Now, this is a very important and very significant differentiator versus any other river cruise line out there, especially if you have guests that are used to luxury ocean liners and they want a real balcony. This has got us more bookings based on the feedback you're giving us, because we actually have real balconies where your guests can enjoy the atmosphere, wave at the folks going by, and just, if nothing else, to just relax. Now, let's face it, I don't think anybody goes to Europe for the weather, but just to let you know that at a push of a button that can enclose, so even if it's, you know, a little inclement or there's maybe some sprinkles or raining even, they can still enjoy that space as part of their suite. That's a pretty cool feature, don't you think? Now, also in every suite and cabin we have a mini bar included. And not just a mini bar for folks who store things, but this is an included mini bar that their butler can customize for them. So if they want more sodas or they want more beers or more waters, spirits, you name it, there's a quick example of what can be carried there for their room and their suite. Again, to customize it for their tastes. There's also in-room safes for people like Terry and I with these great haircuts. Just to let you know, there is a hairdryer included. So there's hair dryers. You don't need to bring one from home. And there's also things like a golf-size umbrella and walking sticks included. But then we get over to how lavish our bathrooms are. And a bathroom is a bathroom, or so you'd think. But these are very spacious because you're on a spaceship. These are two-headed showers. They've got multiple buttons that do different things. You know, I was raised by a military father, so I'm in and out of the shower in about 2 minutes. Well, I took like a 10-minute shower on my cruise, and I was really feeling pretty luxurious. I started pressing buttons, and one of these actually shot me right in the belly button. So there's not just the regular shower that does the spray or the waterfall deluge. There's also the hand shower, and there's also a body sprayer. And, of course, look on the counter. We carry Lexotan products, and we have soft linens and great little places in there to get yourself refreshed and enjoy. Now, we're going to move up a couple more levels. Now we're in the junior suite. It's 250 square feet. Again, look at that space between the bed and the writing surface, a little more room around the room. And then we'll go up again in the suites and get into our royal balcony suites. Now, in the junior suite, in this royal balcony suite, holy cow, look at this. We've got a separate sitting area. We've got the sun lounge out there, the real balcony. We've got our sleeping area. So in the royal balcony in the junior suites, these are deluxe bathrooms. So not only do they have all the fineries of the other bathrooms, but now we're talking about a separate bathtub in these suites. That usually wows a lot of folks. It must be pretty cool to be in a bathtub when you're on the river cruise ship, kind of sloshing back and forth, enjoying the waves as you're on the waves, right? So kind of nice and kind of neat for your guests to enjoy that type of service. And then finally, at the very top, the Royal Panorama Suite. These are the two big boys off the back, that beautiful wraparound corner with the sun lounge, the sitting area, the sleeping area with the nice bathrooms as well. Now, oddly enough, these don't have bathtubs, but just how they're configured, so they've got the space instead, and they are tremendous. These are usually the ones that folks brag about, and as you know, as agents that sell out a river cruise, these are the ones that usually sell out first. Now, you saw butlers on the video, and that's usually a question I get about what's a butler for and who only gets butlers. Please note, all guests get butlers. Everybody gets the butler service, and at different levels of their decks and suites, the butler is there to do different things for them. So even at the jewel deck, if they're there, they're going to be able to do things like maybe do shoe shine for them. Maybe they're going to do some different things like concierge service or beverage service in the morning to bring them a nice coffee or tea. As you come up in different decks and, of course, different suites, they're going to do extra things for those different levels. So breakfast in the suite to delivery of canapes or petit-fours, and then even up to doing things like drawing a bath for you at the highest level and having a morning newspaper delivered for whatever their choice might be. But it's kind of nice to have the butler service. You know, the Americans, we usually don't really consider a butler or what they're there for. But let me tell you, by about day 3, I was very happy to reach over and press my butler button on my phone to have him deliver a nice morning coffee and a croissant to me. So that was a pretty nice service to have. At the higher suites, this is when they're going to certainly do like the champagne breakfast or even cocktail party receptions in the suites. And this is usually where people are enjoying themselves or maybe showing off a little bit. But that's okay. They're on Scenic and they deserve it. Now, also on the ship, we include onboard entertainment. And this is where we try to bring the regional flavors and entertainment alive right there on the ship. So it might be a band or a dancing troupe. It might be even things like having someone come on and talk about the locks in the different systems. Of course, we do things like glass blowing demonstrations sometimes, or even here's an example of the French cooking class, where we will teach them how to, yes, make frog legs and escargot, give them the recipe so they're able to then take that home and share that experience, even give it a shot if they are brave enough. And I never get a chance to really talk up our cruise directors. They do a phenomenal job. They're taking care of your clients as they become our guests. And they'll do things like port talks. They're doing lectures about where we're at and some of the history. They'll teach us different things and how to get around, some of the best sites to see. And here you can see where people are taking notes, they're writing things down, making choices of what they might want to do for their different included excursions. And, yes, we even have a wellness center where we do both, a hair salon and massages available. I always let you guys know to tell your clients to book early because those massages go quick and they're at a great rate. But as I stop here for a second, make note. On Scenic, the only thing that your client is ever going to pay for is a personal service item such as a hair salon appointment, a massage, gift shop item, and laundry. Something that's more of a personal service item. Everything else is included. So as we go along and look at the ship and different things that are available, we already talked about the meals and the alcohol, their specialty drinks, talked about some of the different services and some of the different things like butlers and sun lounges. But yes, we have a fitness center where it has an elliptical machine, it has a treadmill. My favorite was actually the rowing machine because let me tell you, if you want to feel really strong and get a good workout, you get on the rowing machine when you're on the river cruise ship and you're going back and forth looking out the window. Wow, you think you're real powerful. Also on board, we have something we call infotainment. Now, this is both in the suites in the cabins and it's also in the common areas where we have these beautiful flat screen TVs and they are loaded with information. Not just things like commentary, TV stations, or satellite radio, things of that nature. They also have movies, and they have things like, what about the ship? And here's an actual shot from my cruise. What's the ship all about? Who's on board? How long is it? You can see that we only carry up to 169 passengers. And while we're here, I should mention our crew to guest ratio is 3-to-1. Excuse me, our guest to crew. So we have 3 guests. We have 1 staff or 1 crew taking care of them. So a 3-to-1 ratio, best in the business. And now you know how we really try to deliver that service for them. One of my favorites was actually the River Cam, where we could click onto a button on our Mac TV and see actually where we're going on the River Cam. And there was also a lounge cam. So when they do those demonstrations and lectures, I could be in my slippers and included robe and just click on the lounge cam and still watch the education or the lecture or the entertainment from the privacy of my own suite while enjoying a beverage and watching everything go by. So that's something else that's kind of cool about the infotainment system. And of course, it was kind of neat to see that we cover all of Europe in our fleet of where we might be that particular day. So if we're up doing the Rhine or in the Danube or maybe over on the Saône, the Rhone, we've got everything covered and where our fleet is actually positioned at any given time. Now, with the market changing, with technology improving, we are finding that our guests are all bringing devices. So we touched on Riverview a little bit, and that's kind of that infotainment system. But do know that we also include the Wi-Fi. We both have cellular and satellite service, so have them bring their devices. This is great for them to be able to, email back home or send pictures along. Of course, it's going to get a little spotty in locks in certain mountain ranges, like any service will, but this is a terrific way to stay in touch with folks back home, or even give them the old raspberry of, you know, we're here, you're not, look what a great time we're having. But we include the Wi-Fi. Now, as great as our ship is, we're nothing if we're not doing a tremendous job delivering the shore, you know, and being the heart of a tour company for 28 years and bringing that shore experience to life. That's really where we excel, because it's nice to have that tremendous ship, but it's also be able to get out on shore, wow your clients with things like our coaches and how they're well supported. We had a couple of ships in port. I couldn't help but take this shot, especially just for us in the industry, to say, wow, this is pretty tremendous. The quality of the coaches, the luxury level, and to know that, again, your clients can be very well taken care of. So now I'll talk to you just briefly about a couple of new things, like Scenic Sundowners, we'll talk about, Free Choice, what's that all about, and Enrich. And again, these, folks, are ways that we enhance and really bring that shore experience to life for your clients. So one of the new things for this next year is called Scenic Sundowners. And what this is, well, a simple way for us to get out on shore, to find this spectacular venue, to have a couple of nice glasses of wine, and what we do is we simply toast the sunset. And typically, we're going to toast that sunset from a castle, somewhere near the river, somewhere unique that only we can kind of get to and enjoy this type of experience. But it's almost a way to celebrate the fact that we're able to experience such, you know, tremendous areas and experience. And we also have something called Scenic Free Choice. And I brought a friend along, and again, bear with us on the technology limitations, but I want to share with you through imagery, and these are some brand new videos that just came out, what Free Choice is really all about for your clients.
Scenic has handpicked the best activities Europe has to offer and has included them in our Scenic Free Choice selection. Scenic Free Choice is a diverse selection of activities that we offer to you in key cities and regions, allowing you to enjoy what interests you most at a pace that suits you most, from relaxed to active. You will appreciate the range of activities that Scenic Free Choice provides. While cruising from Amsterdam to Budapest, from the German port of Passau, you can choose to visit Salzburg, Austria, setting of the Sound of Music and the birthplace of Mozart, or choose a full-day excursion to the beautiful World Heritage listed town of Český Krumlov, one of the best preserved Gothic towns in Europe. In the Austrian town of Melk, you can choose to explore the spectacular 18th century Benedictine Abbey, or, if you're feeling more active, take a guided cycling tour along the Danube through the Wachau Valley on one of our e-bikes. On our South of France River cruise in the city of Lyon, you can choose to explore this beautiful town by bike, visit a traditional silk factory, the medieval village of Perouge, or tour the exclusive Paul Bocuse Culinary School. With over 100 scenic free choice activities on offer, there really is something for everyone. And because your free choice activities are included, there is nothing more to pay. So you're free to choose what interests you most. Experience Europe your way. So wonderfully scenic.
Just a teaser, right? Just a little bit. You know, what's this Scenic Free Choice? Simply put, and thanks for bearing in mind those videos and the imagery, when we get to a port, we offer 2 to 4 different included excursions for your guests to go enjoy. It could be something very simple like a walking tour, much more leisurely paced. It could be a little more moderate, going up to the castle, seeing what that's about, going up the stairs. Or it could be an excursion out to things like Salzburg for Sound of Music, as you may have seen on the imagery, or Český Krumlov out in the Czech Republic, World Heritage Site. I think the toughest thing with free choice, they're included, of course, but the toughest thing with free choice is actually making the choice in those different ports, because you're going to be able to do one or the other typically. Now, sometimes you might be able to do one in the morning, and if there's time, depending on how long we're in the port, you might be able to do one in the afternoon. But typically you're going to have a choice, a free choice, to do one or the other. And as you see on screen, we also carry along with us 30 what we call e-bikes or electric bikes. And I should say they're electric-assisted bikes. So what they are is you still have to pedal. They're not like a moped, but you pedal along, and if you need a little extra boost, there's a little button, and you hit it, and it gives you a little extra electric-assist boost to help you get maybe over a little bit of a hill, or maybe you were really pedaling hard and you just want to kind of pedal easy, but still, speed along. What a great inclusion for your clients to be able to use to get a little further if they should so choose to go out on an excursion by their own, or like I did the Dernstein to Milk included bike tour, and here was my view from my bike. We had this beautiful bike path. Off to the left we had our scenic spaceship, the Jade, 2 weeks old, brand new beautiful ship that was going along the way, and wouldn't you know it, as we turned a couple of corners, it honked at us, we waved, and we went over the bridge and went under the bridge, and it basically met us at Milk. But what a nice thing to have was these e-bikes to be able to use, not just on the excursion, but also be able to use them even when we took off into a port and had free time, we could also use them there. Now another thing that Scenic does to bring those destinations to life is a Scenic Enrich. And this is where we've actually went out and negotiated with governments, heck, sometimes royalty, to provide an extra special experience just for Scenic guests. So it might be things like, let's go to Markburg Castle. Not only will we have the in-depth tour and the surroundings, but we're also going to go there for dinner and a performance in Markburg Castle where only Scenic guests are there, no one else. Or maybe at Palais du Pape, the Pope Palace, where we enjoy that experience, and then the palace locks down, and at night we come back for a special dinner in the grand audience of the huge ballroom with dinner and a classical concert. And again, it's our way to enrich your guest experience by providing these types of fun inclusions that no one else can get anywhere else. In keeping in mind that the guests are ever evolving, the 60-year-old of 1980s is certainly not the 60-year-old of today. They're much more active. They're much more independent. And a couple years ago, we invested a couple of million euro into something we call a tailor-made device. So here's another one to write down, a tailor-made device. Well, what is that? It's part GPS, yes, but it's also preloaded with over 600 points of commentary. And if your guests go into somewhere like Amsterdam, as you see on screen, they can choose to go do a walking tour on their own, or if they want to go into the Jewish area, or they want to do a Rembrandt tour, or if they just want to walk along the streets and find out the different areas, it's GPS loaded, so it'll give a little chime, they'll look at it, and they'll be able to choose to play the commentary through their included headphones so they can enjoy their independent experience but never have to worry about getting lost because it's got a mapping, it's got the commentary. This is also the system that will attach to the local guides so that they can listen to them, and they can be 30, 40 feet away and still listen to the guide's commentary. And they have this in their suite to also use, and it attaches through even to our infotainment system, has that same commentary. It's waiting for them when they get to their suites on a charging station, and yes, they have to give it back at the end of the cruise, but it's Scenic's way to, again, differentiate ourselves, but also, really more importantly, cater to the guests' wants and needs as they tell us. So here's a little video.
Culture and history your way with our exclusive Scenic tailor-made. When you board your Scenic spaceship, you will receive your own GPS tailor-made device, and it's yours for the duration of the cruise. Scenic tailor-made is our exclusive program. We've created over 130 special interest tours that allow you the time and freedom to discover Europe your way. They are self-paced and self-guided and allow you to immerse yourself further in all of Europe's richness, history, music, culture, cuisine, art, and architecture. Tailor-made will help you find those hidden gems that only the locals know about. You can even explore further afield by taking a tailor-made device on one of our e-bikes. E for easy, as they're electric. Your tailor-made device is also the perfect onboard guide, You can tune in to listen to Scenic Riverview for commentary on the many points of interest you pass while cruising. With over 700 stories, from the legend of Lorelei, the ecology of the Rhine, to Beethoven's Bond, Scenic Riverview ensures you gain an insight to life along the rivers, both past and present. Tailor-made in Riverview, exclusive to Scenic, and are all included in your cruise. Exploring Europe at your own pace, so wonderfully scenic.
So, quite the tremendous technology. Again, we have a lot of things covered, from highlights to our free choice, certainly the Enrich program, and of course with the tailor-made device. Madly popular. Nothing like seeing a bunch of little scenic travelers going through these villages and towns with their devices, and they're walking along, and all of a sudden they all stop. They all look at their device. They all look up at a cathedral or these special things they would have absolutely walked right past without being aware of it, or having that tailor-made device kind of give them that friendly reminder chime. All right, so let's talk about some of those popular itineraries out of the U.S. We've certainly got Gems of the Danube. This is by far, the number one. And there's an 8-day or an 11-day. The 11-day, of course, adds the Prague pre-nights, where you get them into Prague for a few nights, then back over and start them in either Budapest or Nuremberg. So this covers Passau, Dürnstein, Vienna. The number 2 itinerary out of the U.S. market is the romantic Rhine and Moselle. It's a 15-day program from Amsterdam to Basel, taking in Antwerp, Koblenz, Cochem. And the third most popular is Jewels of Europe, 15-day program from now Amsterdam all the way through to Budapest. Tremendous program, and probably one of my favorites just because of everything it includes, just such a mix of that whole area. Got to remember that we have, of course, our Dutch sites. So for Tulip Time, yes, we've got a nice Russian program we'll touch on briefly, and of course our Christmas market. So, if you have folks that have kind of been there, done that, or want to go back to an area at maybe a different level of service, we've got it available for them. So, Gems of the Danube, you guys know the itinerary, you kind of know the routing, but once in a while I like to kind of remind folks with maps. And then the romantic Rhine and Moselle, that Amsterdam to Basel itinerary, well, that's a tremendous one, going through different countries, different waterways, so that there's really quite the mix of what your guest will experience. And then France, what are you guys doing with France? Holy cow, it's just going really popular and insanely good for us. So we're actually having to do a couple of things with France, like increase capacity, bring up more ships. So one of those examples is this year we introduced the Gems of the Seine cruise. And this has got real popular, and we think we know why, not just because France overall has got more popular, but look at the itinerary. Now, we go from Paris, going through Giverny, through Rouen, out to, wait a minute, we actually go past Rouen. Did you notice that on the map, right square in the middle? So we're one of the only cruise lines that is actually certified because of the configuration of our ship. This carries 128 passengers, and the Gem goes out that way past Rouen out to Honfleur. Why is that important? Well, most other cruise lines are going to have to stop at Rouen and disembark and get on motor coaches. We get to go past there in the style they're accustomed to, all the way out to Honfleur, so now they can get to things like Deauville, the Normandy beaches, maybe they're doing the cider route. So keep that in mind when you think in French, as well as some of the other itineraries I'll share with you that's coming up for 2015. We are doing a Russian River Cruise. We have a brand new ship out there that happens to have a 25-year-old hull because we reconfigured it and took down faucets and plumbing and brought it back up to the style that Scenic guests expect at that luxury level. And we've got beautiful furnishings. Now, ours only carries about 120 guests, so it's actually intimate as far as guests go, but it's nicely sized and it's a beautiful ship. So be aware of that for those folks, again, that have been there, done that. And for those of you doing groups, I certainly want to hear from you as far as what we have for our different group policies and benefits from our TC policy, of course, commission and inclusions. At the end of this, you'll get my contact information, and I'm happy to talk to you guys about what you might be doing for groups for your luxury clients. Also, please email me, because I'll have a Scenic selling sheet available to you that is exactly this. It has every inclusion, every wonderful luxury item that Scenic includes on their cruises. This is a piece that you can actually use with your clients. It's going to be something you can email to your clients so you can talk to them over the phone as they're looking at it. When you start doing real value propositions and price comparisons, when you start looking at each and everything that's included on a Scenic river cruise. For our partner agents, now just a caveat here, this is currently being rebuilt and actually upgraded. So we do have a travel agent section on our website available to you for our online booking. We have a brand new 2015 brochure there you can order. We've got some different imagery and different things to help support you in your sales and how you promote Scenic out to your clients. And anything we can do to help with those efforts, you just have to let us know. Now, one of those is our dedicated hotline, right? We have a dedicated hotline that for our reservations team that bypasses the regular queue and kind of gets you up to front to get you taken care of, so that those hold times and whatnot that you might deal with get improved and get your job going a little faster and easier. And as promised, here's a little sneak peek for 2015. We have two brand new, beautiful spaceships coming out next year, the Jasper and the Opal. I won't give you too many details, except I will say splash with a cool kind of pool that you might see on those ships. We're increasing our inventory for next year, which is great for the U.S. market because it's a lot of 7 to 10 day types of itineraries, which is perfect for our vacation times, even folks that want to do back-to-backs. And like I mentioned with France, we're increasing the capacity in France as well, with not just a new ship, but even some new routings like our new Bordeaux itinerary. So that should be really awesome. For you as our partners, if you're wondering where your Scenic guests are right now, here's your action plan. They're with you. You have them in your computer, in your contact list, and even those that still have a good old Rolodex. They're the clients that you've booked currently, the ones that will really appreciate an all-inclusive, truly luxury experience. So who's went on a Crystal in the last couple of months? Who went maybe on a Regent or a Windstar that you know? And I would challenge you right now to actually scribble those names down. Do you know Barbara and Bill? Do you know Wilma and Fred? Do you know Jean, and who else can go with them? And who do they know? And you already have these folks right in your contact list. You're going to have to promote that value proposition. So when you go back to that page with all those inclusions, when you have those folks looking just at the bottom line, well, you're going to have to do the math with them. You know, how much would you spend on tips and gratuities? Oh, by the way, which are included with Scenic, not just on board, but also on shore. So if you added up all your tips and gratuities just for one day, what would that cost you? If you added up maybe what you might drink, and of course they always underestimate this, they think it's maybe 2 drinks a day, and it's usually more, you know, what would that add? But to help them do the math, and then you start adding up per diems, you're going to be astounded at the value that Scenic provides for you and for your clients when you start doing a real price comparison. Yes, book early. Yes, take advantage of all those different sales tools and your sales team and your Boston office. And, of course, enjoy getting commission on it all. So, Terry, I have to say, I'm looking at the, the audience view and how much they're paying attention. You guys didn't know we could do that, huh? And I'm really honored by how many of the attendees today have really kept on, and even through choppy videos or lots of information coming at them or having me have them scribble stuff down. They've been just terrific. So please, there's my contact information. So after the webinar, I can certainly answer any questions for you. If you got urgent booking needs, what have you, groups, you name it. But Terry, thank you, and to the attendees, thank you for sharing some time with Scenic. And I'm going to turn it back to Terry now to see if we can cover off any questions as we have a few minutes.
Mark, that's brilliant. I think the presentation was outstanding. You clearly have a very unique product in Scenic. What came away from me very quickly was the all-inclusive nature of seemingly just about everything, and the space. All right, you've made those points with me very dramatically. I loved the sun lounge aspect on the balconies. I think that was very, very cool. And we actually have quite a number of questions, and we are not going to be able to get through them all. We only got about 4 minutes left. But there's a few quick questions that came in very briefly, and if you can answer them briefly. Are gratuities included, Mark?
Yes, thank you. So all tips and all gratuities are included on ship and on shore. Your clients will never have to reach for their wallet for any tips or gratuities unless they want to add a little bit. Of course they can. That's their discretion, but they never have to worry about it if they so wish.
A couple of agents asked multiple questions about the GPS system. I forgot your name for it, but are those tailored for the bicycle routings?
So they're preloaded with walking tours, bicycle tours. For pre-nights, they're actually sitting in their hotel rooms, and they have a ton of information in them. Again, feel free to send me over those questions for our tailor-made devices, and I'll be happy to answer those individually as they come across to my email.
Do they include earplugs?
Yeah, so there's a little like earpiece that comes with it, or if they're more comfortable with bringing their own, like I had my own from my iPhone, they can certainly plug in. They're just a regular 3.5 jack.
One agent has asked a very topical question. Has the Russian itinerary been affected or changed, or do you have any comments regarding, you know, the Russia being in the news lately and your cruise itineraries relating to it?
Yeah, thanks for that. No, bring on any question, even including the tougher questions. You know, this is just the sake of the business, but this is coming from you guys. We actually haven't had one dip in our Russian cruising. We are very aware of any situation. And please know, Scenic would immediately make changes for safety and sake of the clients before anything else we would think of commercially. But no, we've actually, you know, a lot of our travelers, Terry, quite honestly, you know, they're world travelers. They know geography of where the strife is going on versus where the cruising is going on. And, yeah, we haven't had one dip.
How would you describe a typical Scenic Cruise guest? Is it?
That's a good one. You know, again, we get a lot of Australians, but let's say
is there a typical Scenic Cruise guest?
Yeah. You know, basically, you know, they're going to be a 16 older, experienced traveler. Probably have been to Europe or maybe did an ocean cruise around Europe, but now they actually want to see Europe on a river cruise. And again, that's coming from our fellow agents teaching us that one. They have a certain level of sophistication and expectation, but this might get over even to dress. You know, it's country club casual, so don't mind what the models are wearing in some of those shots. I saw a lot of polo shirts and chinos. There's no shorts or jeans at dinner necessarily, but everything else is surprisingly casual, country club casual. And, you know, if you think of that type of guest, you're going to probably get a good idea of who travels with us.
Right. There was one question. Can you talk a little bit about the differences between Scenic and Emerald, which I believe is a sister?
Oh, someone's been doing their homework. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah, someone's out there's been doing the homework. So here's a sneak peek. You know, Emerald Waterways is a sister brand of Scenic Tours and Scenic Cruises, and it's simply a 4-star deluxe river cruise line that's positioned for the folks that maybe can't quite make the reach to Scenic, or they want to be able to pay for some options, pay for some alcohol, different things like that. But there's 2 ships. We just launched it literally this last month. Twiggy was our godmother. For those that want more information on Emerald Waterways, please email me there, my email address, and I'll provide you back with some, a bullet point list of what Emerald Waterways is all about. But it's a beautiful 4-star deluxe product.
I'm just going to throw one last question, which is there's 2 or 3 have asked the similar questions. Are there opportunities for travel agent rates for agents to experience their own travel on one of your vessels?
Great question, timely question, and well done, guys. So we are finalizing our agent policy. It's probably going to be a percentage off type of scenario where we're going to do something in, you know, early spring, late fall type of offerings. We have the beautiful problem right now of basically selling at full retail. So we do want to get our partner agents out there that are using us and booking us so they can experience the product and have that full confidence as well. So stay tuned. We will be getting that policy out shortly, but it's something we absolutely want to do.
We have come to the end of our time, and literally we have a number of questions. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to answer online, but I guarantee I'm going to forward these to Mark, and he can email you directly the answers to these questions. And obviously, for more information, you should go directly to scenictours.com. And lastly, I would thank all of our participants very much for spending a bit of your afternoon with us, and I think we've learned a great deal about Scenic Cruises, their distinction and their quality, and I hope they can become your customers. Mark, thanks for attending. Travel agents, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.